All right, I have found the need to upgrade my Meteor 75 to a new level of firmware. What did I find? Remember when we unboxed it, I came in here and did a version and found that it was version 4.2.0 from June 14th, 2020. It's about 13 months old. Went through the firmware versions. It's about 8 versions old. I don't always recommend uh, going up to another version of the firmware unless there's something you need. So I came into GitHub for Betaflight and Betaflight Releases. Came down here to 4.2.0 on June 14th, 2020. This is what came on the Meteor 75. And at the bottom of all these, you can find the major features that are added for this release, the minor features, changes. You can find bug fixes, all sorts of stuff. So I would recommend for you that find out what version your platform's on, and then come to this page and start looking upward now from 4.2 to see what changes. Now this is the bottom of the 4.21 or whatever it is. We haven't seen that yet because I'm scrolling up. But we can see here fixes, fixed rounding area in the barometer. I don't care, don't have one. Made it possible to arm in crash flip mode without a GPS fix. Don't care, don't have one. Do not count arming in crash flip mode as arming for first arming detection. That could be pertinent to me for the on-screen display of arming time. I'm not sure. These things aren't always real precise. Fixed build error when using D-Shot telemetry stats is disabled. I think it is disabled in mine, and I am using D-Shot. Not knowing extremely deep what this is all about, that kind of tells me, yeah, I need to upgrade. This is a maintenance release, bug fixes, target changes, 4.21, July 24th, right at a year ago. We move up to the next one. Disabled GPS rescue. I don't care. When these lines obviously don't apply, Betaflight can be used on many platforms for configuring the flight controller. As I read out here, if it doesn't apply to me, I just forget about it. Fix bug corrupting the dashboard output. I've seen the dashboard output, but I haven't had a problem with it, so that might apply to me. Fixed a bug in the FreeSky X SPI code affecting the RX range. Ooh, damn. I don't have FreeSky receiver. I have a Crossfire, or that would be very important to me right there. Fixed a bug corrupting the range check error message output in CLI. I haven't done that. That could apply to me. Fixed a bug in RSI calculation leading to 99 output for failsafe for some hardware. That's not very plain, so I would say might apply to me. The next one up, changed iFlight H7 T-Wing target. I don't use that platform. Added a new target. This is when the 743 started coming out. Bug fix affecting DMA-based UHART data transfer. Yeah, that can affect me. Fixed bug in Spectrum RSSI processing. Doesn't apply to me. I'm Crossfire again. Fixed inconsistency in joystick code affecting Windows. Yeah, that probably can affect me. Got some new targets there. Fix some errors occurring with custom builds. Okay, everybody's a custom build after you put in the flight controller and then start configuring it to your frame. Fix problem causing unnecessary screen readouts on MSP DisplayPort. I'm not using MSP protocol that I know of. Could be internal to the board, just not being told. Fix problem breaking analog digital converter on the H7. I don't use that quad. Fix scaling of D-Shot motor output when controlling motors from configurator. I do use D-Shot ESC, so. Fix bugs causing invalid DMA option ID to show for time up in CLI. Don't understand that one, so I would figure probably need that fix just by what it's reading, knowing that dynamic memory access is a very important thing to computers just from 50 years in electronics. That one sounds bad because of this wording right here. Fix bug in CC 2500 SPI RX. That's a different. That's Beta FPV's version of the FreeSky. I think. I know it's a Beta FPV RX. Fixed a bug making a pin unavailable on H7. Well, I'm glad I'm not H7. Fixes disable non-working heads-free flight mode when GPS rescue is active. I don't have GPS, don't care. Fix define block. Again, that Beta FPV. So see, if I was on 4.2.4, I wouldn't have moved to 4.2.5 on November the 22nd, 2020. Because these changes don't really apply to me. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Target updates. H743 again is starting to be supported. Added missing CLI perimeter OSD warn RSI DBM. Yeah, I would want that. Fix problem causing lockups when sending blocking D-Shot commands with bit range D-Shot enabled. Anytime your ESCs, and this D-Shot are the ESCs they're talking about, anytime the ESCs have something with them and it has the word problem associated with it, probably you want to do that just to make sure, especially if you're using D-Shot. Fixed incorrect limits for range checks for race flight and kiss rates. I'm not using that. Fixed bug causing voltage sag compensation to be applied in crash flip mode. Yeah. In turtle mode, doing a quick blip, running you below your voltage cutoff, turning off your quad because it sagged too much or too close to. You're basically could fly away when this is fixed, but with this causing this bug, you're close to your low voltage, but technically you have enough to flip over and fly away, but it won't let you because of errors in the voltage sag compensation. So yeah, if I had to keep walking for it, I'd want to fix that too. We're up to 4.2.6, January 5th. Added more features for the H743. Again, added the magnetometer driver. I don't have a magnetometer, so I don't care. Fix missing BL Heli 32 hardware version. I'm not using BL Heli 32. I'm using D-Shot. Fix compiler warning when building. I'm not compiling. Fix problem causing high error rates with bidirectional D-Shot on H7. Here's a case where problem and D-Shot might not be pertinent to you because it's on an H7. I think that's a Bebop or there's so many platforms these flight controllers used on, configurations, all sorts of stuff. Fix problem getting stuck in the CMS menu when invoking multiple times. Yeah. That's the general programming fix. Probably want that. Fix compilation errors. Magnetometer driver. I don't have a magnetometer, so that wouldn't apply to me. Fix bug causing lockups when setting beta scale to 0. Boy, I don't think I'm doing that. You know, some of these, you say that doesn't apply to me. I don't need to upgrade my firmware but you don't really know because these are so deep down in the minutia. Fix validation for minimum and maximum cell voltages. Okay, having that correct is very important. So that just tells me all this other stuff that may or may not apply. I don't care. It's going to get updated at the same time I update this because I really do want this one. Fix bug in DisplayPort code leading to potential for UART to be flooded with OSD messages. Yeah, that'll crash you. Your CPU get overloaded. Next thing you know, you're on the ground, in the water, all sorts of bad things. Fix bug causing potential for serial port configuration corruption. Yeah, well, there's... That's why this came out so quick. It was probably fixed for something they did in this one, but you can't tell. You can't tolerate any kind of corruption of data. These things break up on their own bad enough as it is. That was 4.28, February the 15th. I can tell by this being the different firmwares for different flight controllers and stuff that we're hitting our last current one. Added new target. Again, H743 has been coming into support the past year. Fixed issue with serial ports incorrectly using pull down in bidirectional mode. Don't think I'm using bidirectional mode, but don't know, so I probably would do this right there. Fixed potential underflow when using battery hysteresis. Again, there's something I probably would want. Fix build error when building without MSP DisplayPort support. I'm not using the MSP. Fix bug preventing setting of negative values in RSI, DBM alarm, and CMS. Probably can use that. Fix bug preventing the use of all 8 analog to digital converter instances on the STM32H7. I think we're on a F4 board, but I don't think that's my particular platform. Fix bug making the I2C timeout dependent on the system clock speed. Don't use the I2C that I know of. You know, internal communication with these boards with built-in RX receivers and stuff, that could be the way they're communicating with it. What I'm complaining about here is these short bug fix lines aren't always completely pertinent, in my humble opinion. Fix bug making the SP1 timeout dependent on the system clock speed. I think that has to do with FreeSky. Receivers. This is all the code for that. I'm not going to dig through this right now. If you think it's part of something you know you use, then you need to do the update. Fix if it doesn't seem to be, then that could be another reason not to update. That's always a call. Again, don't go to the current version automatically or the next version. Fixed incorrect version check in the MSP set filter config. Fixed duplicate code bug for, I think this is a type of flight controller, and it might be the one I'm using. Fix bug error occurring when building ICM. Yeah, that's I don't have one of them. Fix bug resulting in lockup in the SD card. There's no SD card on the Meteor 7.5. Fixed bug preventing disarm if the paralyzed switch was used while arming. Don't think that could affect me. Some of the other things right in here do this right here do speak to me that I need to update to the current version 4.2.9 put out on April 27th of 2021. So let's do that real quick. So what we would do here, first thing we would do make sure we have a diff by using diff all. This is just repeated over and over and over with Betaflight, CleanFlight, iNav, almost any flight controller. Make sure you back up your configuration before you make major changes so you can get back to it easily. So here we go. We're going to upgrade to the current version. Another reason I'm upgrading is I'm 8 firmware versions old, and I don't trust the release notes to always tell you every little thing that they fixed. Being 8 firmware updates away from current is also a reason to update. When you're just one away, then read the release notes and see if you really need it. And if you don't, I would say don't do it. Next one comes out, read the release notes, see if you need to do it. If you don't do it. But now you've got 2 you didn't do. When the next one comes out, the third one, even though you read it and you might not need it, don't do it. You're starting to get into the area where there's just too many version changes. And certainly at 4, 5, 6, 7, you're going to, just because they don't always put every change in the release notes. They try, they do a good job of it. Anyway, let's flash with the current. So as in my last one, I'm going to flash for the 411RX board. I'm going to flash version 4.2.9. Again, we come in here and we select the FC we have, flight controller board we have, and then I'm going to go with the current one right here. So I'm going to jump 8. You want full chip erase on. You want to load that firmware online. Here is talking about, and then again there, this is part of the release notes displayed here. Now, some of the other things I've found out researching this board over the last 24 hours even is right now you can see COM4 up here. Didn't find a DFU button for this, although it talks about DFU right here. There's a boot button on the board. I think it works like a DFU button on the other flight controllers, but there's also another strangeness. Watch when I click flash firmware to start the process. This board goes into DFU mode right up there at the top automatically. So I think it can be forced from a button on the flight controller. I haven't proved that yet. But it's also forced here, but it's not talked about many places. It is right here in Betaflight, but in Beta FPV's information about the specific flight controller board that we're using, Betaflight on to configure, and information's a little sketchy. You always need to know how to go into DFU mode though. You can, these things brick up, you brick them up, everything. Okay? The update was successful to the new version of the software. I'm going to unplug my USB cable. I want to get a really for sure full reboot. I'll plug it back in. And we'll connect up here. And of course, we have nothing. I don't want to. If I click right here, apply custom defaults, I'm going to come up. Well, I'll just do it real quick. It's going to come up with, here it's ARM disabled flag, RX failsafe, MSP, motors, all sorts of stuff. That's, and here it's complaining about everything because we have default port configurations. Don't think this is technically for my platform because I don't have a UART2, but I do think it would be set up, and it's not set up for any RC receivers. And it's kind of good defaults, but not my thing. Your ESCs are disabled. That's never going to work. Here's accelerometers. This is certainly not my receiver, so this isn't set up. My receiver would be here and then here. So I could fix it real quick, but it's not there. This does work for me. Of course, I don't have any tunings in here. My receiver is not set up at all. My modes are not set up. That's because it's a new fresh install. So what do we have to do? We come into the CLI, load from file, latest. I'm going to remove everything up here and hit execute. Boom. I'm back. Exactly as I was configured in 4.2. Still does have the UART in there. Don't care. Configuration, got my DShot 600 back, got my board information back, got my receiver information back. I'll play with this later, turning this on, just to see if it will generate current. I don't know that it will. PID tuning. Got my expo back. Still got my throttle expo I put on earlier tonight. By the way, I flew it. It does work pretty darn good. Got my receiver. I had to turn on my radio there. There we go. Got all 12 channels I had set up on my receiver back. Got my modes set up as I had. I need to take this out, save that, and then I need to do another diff real quick. DIFF space all. I'm going from the bottom right here up to my board name. Shift, click, save to file. That's my new latest things I'm trying. Diff file. Oops, I came out of CLI, so it of course reboots. Now hopefully that beeper is out of here completely. It is. OSD seems to have the same changes I made earlier today. And again, you need to go back through your whole setup because you can't always restore a diff. Sometimes there's changes to the firmware where parameters are changed enough where you really have to assign some things again. Not so much in Betaflight as in iNav and Ardu plane and stuff, but it's always prudent when you update a version of firmware and install a restore whatever a configuration file with your settings in it to go and check. Make sure. See, I'm a little suspicious right now of this UART too. So, what the hey, I can come out here real quick, go in here, load from file. Here's my original diff file. I'll just execute it. Let it reboot. Look at the ports. Yeah, I guess there was a UART too. Boy, I'd really like to find out where I hooked to that and use it. Okay. So now, quickly, I'll go back and load a diff file with my latest configuration. There we go. Now I'm back to all my changes, right down to removing the buzzer from this modes list. Just made that change a few seconds ago and then saved that. So that's how you upgrade You can see right now I'm on Betaflight 4.2.9. If we go do a version, oops, we're on, don't get any really complaining like I did with the red text in the others, so there's always things they fix. So this is F411 on Betaflight 4.2.9, April 27, 2021. And it was set up for the F411RX and the Betaflight F347RX. So I will just go ahead and close this out and say there's how you upgrade to the current version if you choose to and think you need to for any reason. And I'll tell you, I'd gone through this once before and put the copter back in its out-of-the-box state on 4.2.0. I had already flown 4.2.9, and it's so killer it isn't even funny. It fixed problems in my OSD that weren't even in the bug fix notes. I was getting a warning, a battery warning, flashing, and couldn't figure out why it was flashing on me because I had my voltage I thought set correct at 3.5 volts. But in 4.2.0, it was flashing on the screen almost from the get-go, just bugging the daylights out of me. I had set the timer for 3 minutes so I'd know when to land, and then I also did want the voltage so I could land without damaging the battery, and it just wasn't working right. It works correctly now. I'll show that in a flight video in the next 24 hours or so. So thank you very much. Hope that helps you out.